Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday, and yay, congratulations on hopping on our huddle this morning. I like to do these from time to time, not super often, because we get such great training from the Tinters and the Rennas. We've got such great mentors to follow, and we don't necessarily need extra because we've all got busy schedules. But I thought with some things that were coming up over the week that I was talking with people about, and also just the boot camp that we have coming. Hang on, I'm just trying to get my view situated here so I can find who I need to when it's time for them to share. But with the boot camp coming up, I just thought that it would be a great time for us to gather, connect, do a little bit of training, but really just kind of, connect. So I'm really hoping at the end that we'll have some time for opening it up and putting it on like gallery view where we can all see each other and just chat. So with that, I'll kind of give you an overview of what we're gonna talk through, and we'll just hopefully have a good morning together. So we are gonna cover some topics that I'm hoping will be really, really good for all coaches, but with a little bit of a bent for newer coaches. So the boot camp we have coming up starting at the end of April, we've got about 2 weeks, I think it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, or today rather, that it starts, is going to be what we call a sponsorship boot camp. So it's gonna have a focus and orientation around sponsoring new coaches. And so because that content is a little bit next step competency wise, we want to make sure that new coaches feel really comfortable with bringing on clients and getting, experience in that competency before they're, shifting too much into turning coaches into clients, or clients rather into coaches rather, sorry. And so because of that, we have a qualification for participating in boot camp. It's so doable to achieve, especially because we've got a couple of weeks yet. And I want to be able to give everyone the opportunity to have some of those basic skills refined and just pour into what those pieces are that are going to help all of us to kind of get sharper on our game, but then also for the new coaches to bring you up to senior coach so you can participate in that boot camp. So hopefully the content, the people who are sharing today are incredible. So I think, like I said, regardless if you're a newer coach or not, I think it's going to be really good content. So we're going to get into the kind of senior coach, building to senior coach skills. But first, we're going to actually start off with a topic that's a little bit of a one-off, but I think is super, super important. And the person who's going to share is really, really good at this. And I think it actually is, even though it's separate from specific to grow to senior coach skills, I think it's a really important foundational skill for all of us. And it's something that we'll just, like, I'm on this journey of kind of figuring out how to do what Elaine does so well, which is to have really good boundaries with her clients where she's pouring into them, giving them exactly what she's there for, but having good boundaries so that she can coach them to become their own health coach and not to be reliant upon her as the end-all be-all solution, all of that good stuff. So Elaine, why don't you take yourself off mute, and I'm going to go ahead and send it to you.
Thank you, Liz. It's great to see you all this morning. It's so fun to be able to see one another a little bit, especially our local community. So happy Saturday morning. I have my coffee here with you guys too. And let's talk boundaries in coaching this morning. I think it's a topic that's super passionate to me because when I started coaching, I wasn't the best at this. And it's still a skill that I'm working quite a bit on. So I want to start by kind of painting a picture for you of what it looks like to me to coach without boundaries, because I think that for me is in a way kind of where I started. And I think it's super natural when you start and you just have a few clients, it doesn't seem to be a huge deal to coach this way. So imagine that you're coaching and your client support calls, they're kind of scattered throughout the week. You have a lot going on. So you just, you call one person when you can and this person when you can. And then you leave them a message to tell them you're checking in, and then they try to call you back, but your schedule doesn't work with their schedule. So you're kind of playing phone tag with 3 or 4 people all the way throughout the week. When your clients are struggling, they text you quite a bit. So you've got texts all over the place coming in multiple times a day. Each time you see a text from a client, you feel like you need to get back to them right away. And if you don't, you feel guilty because you're doing other things, and then you're worried that they think that you're ignoring them. I can say this because I did this. And then when you do get on the phone with them, you have long client support calls, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes. You're talking about coaching, but you're also talking about life, and you're also talking about the memories that you had from high school. And pretty soon you're checking in, but you're also not sure if you're talking with a friend or you're coaching them or what you're doing. And so it's fun at first until it's not, because the more clients you kind of start connecting with, the more that can be really, really overwhelming. The other thing, so let's talk again about, I just want to keep going with this. So let's say that one of your clients starts to struggle, right? And you're teaching them and you're trying to give them ideas and solutions, but nothing seems to be working. They're frustrated, you're concerned for them, maybe even you're frustrated because you suggest things and they don't do them, right? And that's frustrating for you. But then you constantly keep thinking about, well, they're struggling and it's hard to know that one of my clients is struggling, so how do I fix it for them? It's a space that I think we all have been. And if you haven't been there, you will. As coaches, I think naturally we're helpers, right? And a lot of us helpers, at least initially when we start to help, also want to help by fixing. Because if we can fix it, their problem's gone, right? They feel better, we feel better, win-win. But one of the things I finally had to come to terms with is, as a coach, as another person, we will never fix somebody else's issues at all. And so, and when we try and we take on responsibility for that, it's really, really draining. And so there's a question that I want you to sit with as we continue to kind of go through this. And the question is this: you may have heard this on trainings, but are you a hero coach or do you coach in structure? Because what I just described is a hero coach. It can be really fun, but it doesn't take you to growing your business, especially in a way that's sustainable and in a way that you can put your self-care first so that your cup is full and you are giving to your clients from that overflow. So, I think when you think about clients and moving forward, I want you to kind of ask yourself the question, who is responsible for their success? As their coach, if you are taking on responsibility for success, question that. Because we don't change other people, they change themselves. And so I try to think of, I'll give you some kind of tips in a minute, but I really try to think of coaching my clients like being on a long road trip with them. It's my very favorite way to both remind myself and teach my clients the same thing. So I tell them, we talk about health journey, right? So it makes a lot of sense. I tell clients that they set their goals and they set their pace. You've heard that before, right? But here's the cool part. In this journey, they're driving. They drive the bus all the time. I'm not even sitting in the passenger seat with them. Why? Because if they crash the car, I don't want to be the passenger. So instead, what I do is I'm their GPS. So they set their goals, they set their pace, and I lay out a pathway for them to follow. They're still driving the car, so they get to choose the speed. They still get to turn left or right, even if I'm saying go the other direction. And if they change direction or they change their pace, I don't judge, right? Like, I just recalculate. So I'm not attached to their destination. I'm not attached to their speed. I mean, they can change from biking directions, walking directions, driving directions. It doesn't matter, right? I'm not attached. I'm just there to help kind of set that out. And I tell my clients that because there are times when they start to struggle where they will really, really want me to take the wheel. They want me to take the wheel. And I have to say, remember, you're driving the car. You have to press the gas. If they're going all over the place with 5 and 1 and not making a clear decision to stay in structure, I say, you have the structure there. We know it works. We know if you press the gas, we know if you put your hands on the wheel, you're going to get where you want to go. But if you're not ready to do that yet, let's pull over. It's okay. Right? So I really do my best to, when I think about it like that, it's so helpful. And it also helps me describe it to my clients. They're driving the car. So I think here are my key points. Number 1, people heal themselves. People change themselves. You can support them, but they must make the necessary changes themselves. 2, be sort of mindful of the idea of kind of, this is kind of a button word, but be mindful of the idea of codependency. Don't get hooked or attached to feeling responsible for a client's progress. They change on their timeline, not yours. And then the last is just some tips. So I found that when I coach in structure, it naturally kind of shaves out some of this. So that means choose 1 or 2 client support days. Messages, when you're calling for your client check-ins, leave them a message, leave them a key tip so you're leaving value. And then don't just say, hey, call me back. Say, feel free to send me a text check-in. And if you want to set up a time to connect via phone this week, let me know and we can schedule something. If they want to come back to me, I ask that they schedule because that allows me to keep them in structure versus consistent callback, back and forth phone tag. Makes a big, big difference for me. Also, back to kind of that analogy, always remind clients that they're in the driver's seat. And when you can remind them and they're not driving, you don't hold that responsibility. It's been so, so, so freeing. And last but not least, when you're on client check-ins and support calls, this is something it took me a while to be brave enough to say, but if the client support call is going too long, my favorite thing, especially if they start talking about personal things, and they're a friend or a family member or whatever, my favorite thing to say is, I'm having a great time chatting with you. I have a few more clients to celebrate. Can we talk tomorrow or later this week when I have time to focus on you? And that works really, really well because it's kind, it's caring, but it also reminds them that you're coaching in structure in a compassionate way. So I hope that makes a difference for you guys, and happy Saturday.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have my Adventure Awaits t-shirt on today, and I picked that purposefully for just kind of saying to all of us, like, adventure awaits. If you decide to dive into coaching, and honestly, I was thinking about this morning, if you just simply don't quit, you are going to be going on an incredible adventure, which is why I'm so happy that you decided to join us this morning or listen on recording. And why I say that is because you get to choose how you build your team. And so you are going to end up with people on your team who, like Eling for me, are honestly, they're a level up, right? I mean, so we talk about, the Tinters will share, like, we're not an up-down model. We're like a side-to-side model, both with our coaches and with our clients and with our coaches. We're not telling people what to do or anything like that. And like, your business coach is the only difference that, they can mentor you differently is they know your business, right? I am learning so much from all of you, and it's such a gift to be able to build this community of people who are a level up. You want to be like the worst, like weakest link in the chain of your team in some ways, not in all ways. But you want to have good people around you, and Eling is one of those good people, and all of you are too. So anyways, wanted to say that you should all be excited for what is to come if you don't quit. I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to send it over to Angela, and we are going to talk about some of the skills that you are going to want to focus on and develop over the next your whole coaching career, but especially over the next couple of weeks as you build to senior coach. So Angela is going to talk about some social media stuff, and I will send it over to you, Ange.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And I feel like this is the second time where I've had to follow Eling, and it's a lot of pressure. So can I go first next time, Liz? Because she's awesome. And I echo what Liz says. We are so lucky. I mean, all of these people are people who will make you a better person in general, and certainly a better coach. So hang on tight. It's an awesome ride. So social media is something I was kind of shocked that Liz asked me to talk about it, because when I first became a coach, starting conversations and posting on Facebook felt like the obstacles to becoming a coach. I was so uncomfortable with the idea of posting on Facebook, but I really wanted to share this awesome program with people. And I had heard about the importance of shifting your mindset, but I really wasn't sure how to put that into practice. And I think it was because I didn't know how it would impact things. And so, as usual, Liz was right. It changes everything. And I'm going to try to give you some practical tips so that you can shift your mindset in terms of how you approach social media and conversations, so that you can connect with people in a more authentic way. And that will in turn grow your business. So first of all, remember why you became a coach. You wanted to help people feel as great as you do. You wanted to share your successes, to inspire others, to empower them to realize what's possible for them. And you didn't go into coaching to sell things. You're not selling a diet. You didn't order a coaching kit so people would lose weight and that was it. Shift your brain from trying to get clients to trying to give people hope and opportunity. And just remember, you know this, but they don't. You can teach people. You have the tools to teach people how to improve their overall wellness. By connecting with you, they experience predictable transformation, and that's golden. I mean, we are the people who have those tools. We need to share it. You know the benefits of the program, you know why it works, and you need to keep that in the front of your mind as you are talking to people both in real life and on social media. Now, for me, I'm a little old school because I actually prefer to talk to people face to face. And so for me, it was just really establishing a comfortable flow so that the conversation seemed more natural and just conversational rather than trying to direct it a certain way. So a few things, these are just kind of random conversations that you probably all have, but these are ways that I've kind of tried to shift the gear. So, just, hey, how's it going? Make it into a meaningful conversation. Instead of just saying, good, how about you? Try looking at them and saying, I've been really good. I survived the winter and I'm really excited to establish a new walking routine or a running routine. I just need to burn off some energy. Ugh, you have extra energy? I love that. Yeah, I know. I was there. I get it. I've been focusing on my nutrition, which truthfully started out as just wanting to fit into my pants again. But I've been blown away by the impact it's had on my sleep and my energy, the way I parent, my relationship with my husband. Honestly, if you're looking for more energy, we should talk and set up a time to have a follow-up conversation. Or here's another one. I've been seeing your Facebook posts. What are you up to? I've been focusing on my overall health and nutrition, and I've been amazed at the impact it's had on my family. I think the thing that's most shocking for me is that it's been relatively simple. Not easy all the time, but it's been simple. And the recipes that I post, those are things I actually do make for dinner. And I found a supportive community where they are focused on the same goals in terms of getting healthier. And I feel like it's made such a difference. Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, if you know of anyone who feels stuck or has goals they want to work on, honestly, have them give me a call or give me their name. I'll reach out to them. I know it's sometimes awkward if they don't know me. We can be a connection point. I'd love to help people feel as great as I do. So those are just a few things that I've done in conversation. And it's taken me a while to kind of get to that point where I feel comfortable, but it now seems very natural. But here's the real tip. Most important thing. when you are having a face-to-face conversation with someone, look them in the eye. Make them feel like they are the only person you want to be talking to, and establish that trust so they know you care about them and their goals. That's what makes the difference. That's what is the key to coaching. Let them know you care. That will lead to follow-up conversations, and that will establish the rapport from the beginning. Okay, that was the easy part for me. Some of you are awesome on social media, and you really are my heroes. You are my hero coaches. But for me, I would rather host a party for 100 strangers at my house than put a post on social media, and I'm serious. Posting caused me a lot of anxiety because I was afraid of what other people would think, but I knew I needed to step out of my comfort zone if I wanted to make my coaching practice work. And to this day, when I'm hesitant about posting, I think about my friends who have lost 100 pounds on this program, my friends who have more energy, my family members who are feeling better than they have in years. And I think, you know what? If I hadn't taken that step, they wouldn't be there. And I love helping people. And so if I can help them, then maybe this post will help someone else. So that's all. That's what I think about. Because you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it if you can help one person. If that post helps one person, it's worth it. So here's the trick with that. You need to frame your Facebook posts so your intentions are shining through. Here's how I have found. Here's like 5 tips that I've found to help me do that. 1, you've got to share your own story. People want to connect with you and they want to see that it's real. 2, share recipes that you actually make. You can use the recipes that are on Unleashed or on Pinterest, but add your own pictures so they see your stove and your messy kitchen. Add your comments, your tricks, things that worked, your own reviews, if your kids liked it or didn't like it, or if your husband thought it was the best thing ever. You made it for family and friends, they loved it. Share those things. And then also, my 3rd tip is to include a lot of posts about your family and friends, because coaching is part of your life and your family and friends are part of your life. And your posts about family and friends and activities that you've been able to do now that you're in a healthier place are going to gravitate towards a different group of people than, for instance, your before and afters. And you want to keep your newsfeed fresh in that way. The other thing that I would recommend is having more conversational posts. So for instance, you could say, hey, I'm looking for ideas on how to treat myself after a long week other than wine and chocolate. Who's got a good way to do that? And so that really puts some dialogue into Facebook, and that helps create conversation and establish rapport with people. And then the last thing is share a variety of before and afters. I think, you need to share both men and women and older and younger and people who have lost 10 pounds and 100 pounds. But the other thing with that is to make sure that you are highlighting their successes outside of just their number on the scale. Make sure that you are not letting it be a generic, oh, I feel better now. Well, I feel better after this cup of coffee too, but I need something more to grab onto. So give people the stuff they want. A success at work now that they've hit a healthy weight. A new interaction or a new exercise program they've been able to do. More confidence, something that people will relate to and connect with. That's the ticket. And the other thing with that is it really highlights that this program works for nearly anyone. It can work for you. It worked for me. It can work for you. That's what you want to portray. So ultimately, remember, you are inspiring people to get healthy. That's why you became a coach. You're trying to create an attractive option that entices people to reach out and connect with you. And once I figured this out, it really shifted my mindset, and it made my Facebook posts easier to post because they felt more real to me. And essentially, it comes down to, I want to shout from the rooftops that I've got the best personal development wellness program ever, and you should want to be a part of it. And that sounds a lot different than selling products. You have an opportunity to change lives. We can change lives. This is amazing. We have the tools to do this. Be brave, be yourself, lean on your support team. Our business coaches and our leaders are truly the best in the business. We are so, so lucky. So I hope that this helped you. Liz, I'm going to turn it back to you, and thanks so much this morning.
That was phenomenal. And I think that if you can picture Angela going from, I would rather have 100 people in my house than put up a post on Facebook, to I want to shout from the rooftops, you can see why I asked her to share on this. And I shared with her yesterday the shifts that I saw in her that were so, so incredible to be a part of. And that's the other piece. If you don't quit and the adventure comes, you get to be a part of the transformation, like a significant transformation of not just our bodies, but our minds. And it's really profound to be a part of. So don't quit. Adventure awaits. Not that anyone is going to quit. I'm not worried about that. I keep saying that, but seriously, like sometimes on the hard days, you're like, am I going to keep doing this? Okay. So I'm going to transition to Michelle. I'm going to find you in my little scanner scroller thing here. Michelle Alamog is going to share with us a little bit about another kind of evolution of inviting people to health assessment. And she's got some really great stuff. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Well, Liz asked me to talk about the evolution of the invitation and how we start out at our first day as a coach going, how am I going to find anybody who wants to hear anything that I have to say? And I kind of sat back and I thought about how it's changed for me in the process of coaching. And I kind of find 3 different time frames of coaches, and they all change depending on the person, but we all kind of start out going, okay, I'll coach. Maybe somebody I know might want to hear something I have to say. So I will coach maybe 1 to 2 people. And if anything happens, great. And I hear this constantly. People say, I want it to be organic. I want it to be organic, and I'm going to do my initial before and after and tell people that I'm a coach. And then I'm going to sit back and if anything happens, great. Like, that's fabulous, right? And if nobody wants to hear from me, that's totally fine too. And I wouldn't be surprised, right? So that's kind of, I think, how every single one of us began coaching. And those who have been coaching for a long time, everyone I've heard say is nobody expected to create a business out of it, because I'm just one person, and maybe my story wasn't big enough, or maybe my journey isn't done. So it's too early for me to coach because I don't have a completed journey. But we all that do decide to coach kind of begin with this organic, which is also maybe non-effort. So we kind of sit back and we say, hey, everybody, I'm a coach. Here's my before and after. I have this fabulous program. And then we're like, waiting. Like, does anybody care? Does anybody want to talk to us? Because we're scared to death that we look like fools in putting this out and people are wondering what we're doing. And then, we get like 50 or 75 or 100 replies and people going, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. That's so awesome. And we're like, really? I haven't talked to you in 5 years. That's amazing that you think that for me. Thank you. I appreciate it. But we still have these fears of rejection and the fear of no one cares, and the fear that if I say something maybe I don't have the answer to, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so we kind of just sit back and we're scared of the next step. And then all of a sudden somebody says, oh my gosh, I need your help. Can you help me? And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can show you. And we have this idea in our head that we're a nutritionist, and that's what scares us. And at least for me, it was. And once I got over the idea that I'm not a nutritionist, I tell people all the time, I wish we were called health guides, not health coaches. Because if you take the idea of a professional coach out of my title and just say, I'm a guide to show you how to do the same program I did, it takes a lot of the scariness out of it, just to be able to say, I can show you what I did yesterday. I can show you what I did last week. I know how to, figure out what my protein and what my vegetables are, and I can show you how to do an order. Like, that's all we do. And then we guide people, as Elaine was saying, to try to stay on the right navigation system. And we're doing that ourselves every day. So we're just telling our friend or somebody we haven't talked to what we did yesterday or even still today. So that's the first part. Then what I call the middle part is now we have like 2 to 5 clients and we're like, wow, I have 2 to 5 clients. I just became senior coach. And we're kind of shocked that that even happened. And when we go through that, we're like, okay, so I've been seeing all these videos. I saw the 3x3x3 video that Doug did, and that I should probably, or was that Dan? I forget. And we should go through and we do that video. And we're like, okay, so I'm supposed to post 3 times, I'm supposed to have 3 conversations. I'm supposed to do, the whole program, but I'm not ready. I'm not going to do all that. I'll post once in a blue moon because I don't post on Facebook. And most of us never posted on Facebook before we started. I mean, when I talk to everybody, it's so funny. Like, we would post a family picture here and there, and it was always our head cut off to here, because we didn't want anybody to see us. So it's all selfies, to our head. And now we're supposed to post our family and a recipe and this, and we're like, no, I'm not going to do that. Even though this is a proven technique to get our businesses going, but we're like, okay, I'll do it my version. I'll do it a little bit. And so that's the middle phase. And everybody's done that. So don't feel bad if you're there, because I was there too. Like, that's where we all are. But through that, we're like, I'm going to add Facebook friends to the people that I really know. And then we see all these people on Facebook, people that you might know, and you're like, I haven't spoken to them in 10 years. I'm not going to friend them. They think I'm a weirdo if I just, Facebook them out of the blue. And so we don't do that. And so weeks or months can go by, and we're Facebook friending just certain people here and there and getting maybe just a little bit more gumption. And we're still shocked that people out of the blue, like I had people from 30 years ago contact me and sign up, and I'm like, really? Hi, how are you? And you're shocked every single time that these people that aren't your closest sphere are signing up. And then you realize you have all these other sphere of friends that might be a sphere of a sphere, like a friend of a friend, that are texting you, or my sister-in-law needs this, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, this actually is working, and I'm actually helping people. And the reason why we all keep coaching is we love being part of someone else's journey, because it is the most filling job I've ever had, where you actually have just a little bit of skin in their game because you offered it to them. And so that's kind of the second phase. And also with this, with the invitation, this is when you really start getting good at doing invitations to health assessments. And first of all, most people I know don't want to talk about their weight in Starbucks. So asking somebody to meet you at a Starbucks and say, so tell me your health goals, and oh, I'm overweight and I'm 50. They really don't want to talk about that in a public place. So keeping your health assessments to a Zoom or to a phone call, in my opinion, is your best option, because they're much shorter. But I do bring people to my home if I know them, or I go to their homes if I know them, because sometimes a husband and wife, I'll go talk with them in their house, but it's double the time for sure if I do that. So just be careful with those. Depends on who the person is. And then when you're doing that, people might walk up to you and say, so tell me a little bit about it. What are you doing? And, they want an answer of a name and a price, right there in the grocery store or in the school parking lot or wherever you might be. And there are so many ways not to mention that. And so I just kind of wanted to briefly talk about that. And that is, somebody says, Michelle, what are you doing? Or what did you do? I can tell that you're doing something. And I'll say, oh my gosh, I have the best plan. I've struggled for a really long time, and we have so many different plans. It's crazy. I'm not sure what your goals are, but I'd love to talk to you about them. Well, just give me the name and the price, and I'll let you know. And I just try to tell them, I'll say, well, it depends on what your goals are. I'm not real sure. We have so many different plans. And then I mention all the plans, the nursing mom, the gout program, the senior program, the diabetic program. And I try to start getting their mind off of the name and the price. And then if they're still kind of pushing on that, I tell them a funny story about a client. Every single time I'll tell them about one of my clients whose shirt fell off at work, literally like fell off down to her stomach because she had a big boat neck. I tell a story of somebody's pants falling off in Costco, basically. And I change the subject enough to say, oh my gosh, I'd love to talk to you about it. Let me know if you want to discuss it. And I kind of get more comfortable at this point. Then at the third point, which I don't call the end, I call it the being strong, is that was when all of a sudden your anxiety level of talking to somebody about it kind of goes out the door, and you're just like, this is what I do. If you want to hear about it, I'm so excited to tell you. And then it doesn't come off like you're selling anything. It's just, I did this program. If you're interested, I would love to tell you. And that is when you'll notice people and the coaches truly living out loud doing their 3x3x3 on Facebook. You see them posting 3 times every single day. You see them making comments. You see them out and about doing things. And you get to a point, and again, this is an evolution, so I call it the evolution of it. You will become more and more comfortable as you do these. But you're adding Facebooks. I add Facebook friends now all the time of people that are friends of friends, and I'll just say, hi, this is who I am. Or I'll say somebody who I went to high school with, oh my gosh, how are you? And it might even be somebody that I wasn't even really close with, but they keep showing up in my friends you might know. And if they accept my friend request, great. And I send a little note. And if they don't, that's okay too. But one of the biggest things that I was talking to someone else about, that for me, when I'm doing my my invitation to a health assessment and people are just badgering me about what I did, the best thing I've ever come up with saying is, I tell them, I said, I talk about what I feel for 10 seconds. I feel this, I feel the energy, I feel whatever. But I said, it's so simple. And I'll say, you have to learn how to pair foods together. You have to learn why you're eating what you're eating. If you eat salmon and you eat a side salad with avocado and salad dressing, that's too much fat on a plate. And people go, what? You can have salad with salmon? And I'm like, well, you could, but if you have too much fat on your plate, for me, I gain weight if I do that. So I've learned how to pair foods. So if I have chicken, I have a fat. If I have vegetables, and I'll just briefly say a couple of food examples, and they're like, what? That's all it is? And I said, yeah, it's that simple. I just have to teach you how to pair foods together, how to understand when and what to eat. And it's not dieting. So that's why I've still maintained my weight. If you ever want me to tell you about it, I'd love to tell you about it. And literally saying pairing foods together, I swear, is the best thing I've ever come up with, because people, that to them now is not dieting. That to them is learning how to eat foods correctly together. And then when I do the health assessment, I go through all the different parts. And that part where they're talking about eating out, do you eat out at restaurants? How often do you eat? That's when you're trying to find out the information of if they have any idea of that, how much money they spend on that. And then that's where, you don't have to worry about price, because you've got that in your backpack too, of information about them, of how to explain that. So those are some of the things. And then if somebody tells you already, I know how to eat, I'll ask them, well, so tell me something that you eat. And they'll tell me, and I'll say, well, why? Why did you eat that with that? And they don't know why. They just know to eat broccoli and chicken. But so that's part of it. So last thing I just wanted to mention was, I know I'm probably going over, Liz, is that the other huge aha moment for me for doing invitations is when I started, I was thinking about who of my friends are unhealthy. And that was my sphere of possible clients. That was my sphere of who would I offer this to, is do I know anybody? And this is back in August when I started. And I had 2 or 3 people on my mind. And that was really about it, because a lot of my friends were pretty healthy. And so I was like, well, I'm done. I really don't have any more unhealthy friends. And when you stop prejudging who would want this program, and realize that people who you think are skinny, people who you think are too old or too young or to whatever, everybody needs to learn how to pair foods together. So they're interested, even if it's 5 or 10 pounds or if it's 100 pounds. And so that was a mind shift change for me as well. So final couple comments is, just like you wish you would have started earlier, maybe on the program, you may wish you started faster in getting into these different areas of coaching with more intent. So I wish I would have been more active on Facebook sooner in my coaching experience, but it does take time to become comfortable. 2, someone who is waiting for you to live out loud right now to change their lives. They're just waiting for you. They're desperate for you to post and post and post. And remember, people don't see every post you do. So if you post 3 times a day and that person has 100 friends or 1,000 friends, they see all those people's posts all day long. So it's not like it's just you on their screen. So they're seeing lots of different things. And if you can tell someone what you did yesterday, you can coach and tell someone what to do today. And I think that is taking the coaching word out and thinking of you more as a guide takes a lot of the pressure off. So I hope that helps.
So good, Michelle. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are taking notes because I'm not, because I'm trying to just think about managing. I have to go back through and listen to all of this again, because seriously, it's so good. Thank you so much. I'm going to kind of tag off of that and share a little bit of a perspective shift I want to encourage us all to be always working on and mindful of. And I'm going to try and keep it brief because I want to try and leave us time at the end for just questions and chat and stuff. But I think it's a really important comment to add on to the end of, hey, sharing your story out loud, posting on Facebook because you're impacting lives, and then, asking people to tell you about their goals, because there's a next step, and it's, helping them start the program. And a lot of what I want to kind of share is my story of how I got onto this program, and how the idea that if my coach had not been bold with me, and when I say bold, I don't mean pushy, but if my coach hadn't been bold with me, I would not be here, and you guys wouldn't be here. And so I don't take a lot of credit for much of what, the abundance that I've been able to step into. I take credit for, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, leaning into my fear. And I don't mean that in a braggy way. I mean, that is just the only thing that I can point to that I've done that has helped you all. It's the program, it's Dr. A, it's, so many things that aren't me, but I leaned into my fear. And if you do the same, you're going to make an enormous impact. And so I want to explain to you how, when we come off of these conversations or come to the end of these conversations where we're talking to people about the program, anyone who's done one health assessment knows, what do they tell you at the very end? They tell you their fear, their objection, or their obstacle. And sometimes it's all wrapped up in one. And so, coming to the end of a health assessment and being a person who, on the one hand, is actually kind of excited about this possibility for me. Like Michelle was saying, you get to that 2 to 5 clients and you're like, oh, wow, this is exciting. I want to do something with this. I want to build this. And, you feel a little bit selfishly oriented, which is good because it drives you to keep leaning into the fear and sharing and all of those things. But you also, on the other hand, you love the person that you're speaking with. And we all have this fear that if we come against their obstacle, their fear, their objection, that they're going to think that we're pushy. And we know there's this little nugget of truth in there, because we know we do have a goal. Your goals are the most important, but I have a goal too. And I kind of want to reach it. And if you decide to do the program, I can do this boot camp, right? I mean, we have all been there, and it's a struggle, right? The struggle is real. And so what I'm afraid happens, and I'm so guilty of this, and the thing that's really cool is that I learned from the best about how to practice doing better, because I am still working on this, and I will be for a long time. But what happens is we get to that point and they tell us their concern, their fear, their objection, their whatever, and we cave and we go, okay, I totally get it. Yep, we'll talk. And I'm not saying it's not a slap on the wrist, and I'm not saying that that's not an inappropriate response. But what happens in our mind is that we also cave in our mind, in the sense of we put up a wall and we say they can't because this, that, or the other. So what I want to encourage you to do is to make a shift from hearing what they have to say and interpreting it as their no, and then kind of just letting them come in their time. And I want to encourage you to start coaching them already. So how this plays out and what it looks like, talk to your business coach, because I'm not going to give a ton of examples, but I am going to give 2 examples. So here is what happened for me. When I got to the end of my health assessment with Megan, I was like, okay, I had a lot of fears. I actually had a lot of concepts, but the one that I voiced to her, which was just the first one that maybe was the most significant on the list at the time, is, and it's really funny that you remember these things, but it was October 26th or somewhere around there. And I was like, okay, I'm really interested. I think I want to do this, but I'm it's the end of the month. In my head, I'm not planning on spending an extra $400 this month, so I should probably wait until my credit card rolls over. That was what I was thinking. And so I said to her, I said that, right? Instead of having a mindset of abundance, of being, what's $400 in the scheme of my whole health picture? And so I wasn't thinking that way yet. And so Megan really gently guided me out of that concept because she knew what was coming for me. She knew what was possible for me. And she knew that if I were to let the end of the month and $400 stop me from stepping into that, that would not be a good thing for me. It was not in my best interest. I didn't know that, but she did. And so she was like, I totally understand. She's like, a lot of times people will want to like start off the month on the program because it's just a great way to start the month, but it's totally up to you. No pressure. That's exactly what she said to me. And I thought, she's totally right. And so I signed up that day. That's an example. And that's, where I say that if my coach hadn't been bold with me, it's not to say that I wouldn't have started on the 1st of November. I probably would have, or the 2nd, or whenever my credit card rolled over for the month. But the point is that you can gently come against people's fears and make a really big impact on their journey. So the other example I want to give you is, I'm blanking, so I'm looking at my notes. What was the other example? So the other one was then when I became a coach. And this has been talked about so much, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but when I decided to become a coach, when I was toying with it, it was social media. We've just talked about it for like 25 minutes. It was like, if that's what I have to do, like, I don't know if I can. And she just simply said to me, I totally get it. She's like, that was a fear that I had, and I had to sort it out too. And in that sentence, she normalized it. And I realized what I see of you is so confident, so such a leader. I can't do that. I had no idea behind the scenes she had struggled with that too. And when she normalized it for me, it made me realize, well, if you can overcome that fear, why can't I? So these are just some examples. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of different scenarios, but I just want to share that as an encouragement to you that, it's so easy for us to hear their objection. And I don't even really like that word because it feels so salesy, but their fear, their obstacle. And the thing that we can start doing from that very first day on health assessment is start coaching them into a mindset of the obstacle is the way. And that's something that we're going to be getting even more kind of meat on in terms of our training for how we do that with Habits of Health 2.0. Habits of Health 2.0 is really oriented around starting to train our leadership leadership habits and principles into our clients from day one. And so starting to think about the fact that at that end of that health assessment, you start coaching them, because what are we doing as coaches? We're really helping people to just make perspective shifts on different situations. When they are struggling with having that piece of cake or a glass of wine at the end of the day, or ice cream because they feel like they earned it, what's a different perspective to take on that, where you can realize that there are other options that are going to serve your body better than, the unhealthy habit choice. So I hope that's helpful, because I think we can all, wherever we're at in our journey, we can all have that little bit of struggle with, what do I even say when they say no? And sometimes the no is a not yet. And like I said, it's not inappropriate to say, I completely understand. It's more that in our minds, we don't want to shut down and just say, oh, that's a no, there's a wall. And obviously we do our follow-ups and all of those things, but I think that we can coach people into a different perspective. So I'm going to kind of switch gears now, where we're going to just talk a little bit off of our specific skill sets, but onto our heart, our passion, our mindset, the importance of attending events. We'll talk a little bit about convention at the end, but I'm going to turn it over to Michelle and Aaron, who are going to share their story.
Hi, Liz.
Hello, everyone.
I just have to say really quick, Liz, this is really crazy to see all these people that are on here just because you said yes to Megan, 2 years ago. And now look at what is happening. Like, it's really crazy to see that. So it's fun to see everybody. Just really quick, I have been coaching. I was in that category that Michelle Almig talked about, just that first stage of coaching about 1.5 years ago, when my dad wanted to join after he'd seen my, health transformation. And I was like, nope, I can't do this. I'll just coach my dad. and then hopefully no one else will ask me about it. But I loved the program, and I loved my health and my transformation. Then I saw my dad, but I was not qualified to be a coach by any means, and didn't feel, and kind of like Michelle said, I didn't want even people to ask me about it. Like, I was hesitant to post, didn't really want to get into it. So I kind of feel like I sort of dabbled in coaching for about a year and a half. I'm a full-time teacher. I have a part-time job. I private tutor. So I just didn't put in the consistency and the time, but I loved sharing the program and was very blessed by it, just from the people that I knew at school and my friends and my little circle. I have had, a great success as far as for me personally, with this coaching, and it was just what I needed. It was a great part-time job. I put in as much time as I could. I had no boundaries, like Eileen talked about. I was all over the place, just squeezing it in when I could. Was very excited when Erin and I had earned the ILAC cruise this spring, and it was our first OptiVia event. And even in my head, I was like, this is amazing. We get to go on this cruise, but I had no idea what was in store for me attending an event. So Liz had kind of wanted me just to share what happened when you actually go to an OptiVia event. And even Erin and I had talked about it, like, what are we getting into? What's this going to be like? We're going to be with all these people on this cruise, and, what are we in for? And, do you think there's ways we can like go on our own and do our own thing? Or are we going to be with people all the time? And we just weren't expecting, I think, what happened to us when we were on this event. And to be around the leadership and to be sitting in the training live with leaders and talking to them and seeing them in person, it just really, my whole mindset awakened. I don't even know how else to describe it other than thinking, we saw these amazing people and we saw what was possible, and it just changed. And we came back from this cruise and have just really felt like we wanted to go all in. We want to be consistent. We want to do what we hear on all the trainings. We want to overcome our fears, because we definitely have a lot of those fears. Everything people talked about, that is us. The posting, the talking to people, the time, the boundaries. How do we make all of this work? But we just could see what was possible with just sharing and helping people, and just got really excited about it. And then I can kind of switch over to Erin, because I think that's where he comes in, is from this cruise.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. A few things that I just wanted to share. Like Michelle said, that she was on this journey for a year or so, and I saw these amazing results with her and this weight loss. And it was not only the weight loss part of it, but it was just more of a shift overall. I mean, sometimes it's even hard to explain, but I just saw her become more confident, and I just saw this passion that she was having, that, she would go in the other room and have these conversations, and I didn't really know exactly what they were about, but I knew that she was excited about it. And every time she got off the phone, I just saw this, like, I don't know, just kind of this sparkle in her eyes and in her voice. And I just thought, wow, this is amazing. And then we get to go on this cruise, and I thought, wow, this is even more amazing that we get to go on this cruise, and didn't think a lot more of it than that. But we go on this cruise, and I, again, kind of watching from the sidelines, I thought, honestly, that, this was kind of a diet thing. And I thought, this is probably more just for women. And going on this cruise really kind of, again, like Michelle said, awakened me that I just heard all of these coaches and all of these amazing stories. And I got to hear all of these transformations and these lives being changed. And I thought, it was for men, it was for women, it was for older folks, younger folks, teenagers. I mean, all of these. I mean, the program really related to everybody. And I thought that was just really, really cool. And I thought, okay, I'd like to know more. And so like Michelle said, we got a chance to have a lot of conversations with some of the leadership. And again, at that point, I was realizing that, that people's lives were really being changed. I just saw like just the genuine people that I got a chance to talk to, and like the lives that were being changed. I thought, oh, this is really cool. And, I've mentioned this before too, that I'm in recovery, and I've been in recovery for, 4.5 years now. And I bring that up just for the reason, because so many aspects of this program are relatable to recovery. And one of the main things for me is when I first got in recovery, and I was just kind of lost. And, when I was looking for a sponsor, I was often told that find somebody that has what you want. And that really didn't make a lot of sense to me until I found somebody that had what I wanted. And again, really relatable to being on this cruise and talking with all of these amazing health coaches was just listening to them and listening to how their lives had transformed. I'm like, they have something that I want. And so, to be honest with you, that was just really, really cool to me. And that's kind of what I, talked more with Michelle. And I thought, this is really something that I'm seeing lives being changed, and I would love to be able to do that. And again, part of, my recovery is giving back to those that, so freely gave to me. And so that's kind of how I feel with coaching, is that I just have an opportunity to give back to people that was given to me. And it wasn't just for the weight loss. I was on program for a little, lost about 8 or 10 pounds, but for me, and even what I saw in Michelle, was more of the shift of just the mindset, and then I kind of really got to understand what like the trilogy of the program was. It was just so much more than just a weight loss. And so that's really, I guess, where I'm coming from when I get to talk to folks. I feel like I can just kind of bring a different perspective on not just weight loss. And obviously that's a huge, huge component of it, but there's just so much more to it than that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And that's kind of my awakening when we went on the trip, and just so excited to join Michelle and just help change some more lives. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
So our advice is sign up for convention. If you haven't signed up for the convention, we signed up as soon as we got back, and we wish we would have done it earlier because now we have to pay the higher price for it than doing it earlier. But it really was like a turning point for us to be in an actual Optavia sponsored event with the leadership, and to see, we can't even describe like the trainings and what's available and the potential that we have to help so many people, and then also to grow personally ourselves and just the impact that we have. I mean, you see a tiny bit of it with Liz right here with just the people that have been impacted through her. So yeah, we're just very excited for convention, and we hope that people will sign up, that we can get to know other people that'll be there. And we love this group now that we have here. So thanks, Liz.
You guys are so awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing your story and just being vulnerable. Gosh, it's hard to even put into words what this experience can be and usually is when we attend these events. And you guys did a fantastic job of it, of showing, and sharing your hearts of how it's one thing to, see what we see as an experience as clients, and then start coaching and bringing coaches onto our team. I mean, Michelle grew a fantastic team at, her kind of dabbling place. And, that's one thing, but then to be amongst the group and to hear the stories. I don't think Sarah Ball is on here, but I'll never forget that first convention that Sarah and Eling and I attended in 2017. I'll never forget Sarah and I sitting on the Saturday night. They do kind of like a gala celebration type thing, and people come out on the stage and share their stories, and they talk about the transformation that they've had from going from like severely obese to getting healthy in their body, to starting to coach, to becoming healthy in their mind and their finances. And then to, kind of the other end in terms of the impact that they're having, going from how unhealthy in body and mind you are at that, difficult place when you start the program, to having an influence of, hundreds of coaches on your team and things. And I'll never forget Sarah and I sitting and pulling up people's stories and looking at them on Facebook and seeing their before, because we're looking at their after, and just thinking something significant is happening here. And that's just one little example of how you can be awakened to, this isn't a diet, this isn't an MLM, this is a movement. This is a movement, and we get to be a part of changing the world. It's, you hear Dr. A say that, and as an early on coach, you might just be like, oh, that's so cute. Like, no, and that's what you see at convention. And so, we're at 10 o'clock, so we're going to wrap up. I just, you've heard our hearts. I said on the invitation for this huddle that we're going to share the number one way to grow your business, and it's attending Optavia events or our team events that are sponsored by the Woods and the Millers Intentionality Summit, things like that. You will come away a different person, and you will not, I am very confident that you will not ever attend an event and regret it or come home without takeaways that are going to make you not just a better coach, but a better husband, wife, spouse, parent, whatever the case may be. They're just so inspiring and empowering for our lives. And then the impact goes out from there. So I'm going to stop record, and I know some people have to hop off. Obviously it's after 10 o'clock, but thank you so much for joining, and I'm going to stop record. And if anybody wants to chit chat, we can do question and answer, that sort of thing. So thanks so much for being here, and have a great day.